This week, a group of the country's leading climate scientists pushed back hard against a recent Department of Energy report on climate change. The Trump administration is using the report to justify rolling back action on climate change, but more than 80 scientists found the Energy Department report is filled with errors and that it misrepresents climate science. To explain why this matters, we have Julia Simon from NPR's Climate Desk. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with the Department of Energy report. Why does it matter? What is the big deal about that to begin with?
The Trump administration, they've made it very clear from the beginning that they want to roll back action on climate change. And part of that is the administration's push to stop regulating climate pollution. This summer, the Environmental Protection Agency made a proposal to roll back rules regulating climate pollution, including from cars and trucks and coal and gas-fired power plants. And in their proposal, the EPA cited this Energy Department report. Here's John Cook, Senior Research Fellow at the University of Melbourne.
The DOE report is basically arguing climate change is no big deal, therefore we shouldn't act. Always, it's about trying to delay action and maintain the status quo. And ultimately, that's the purpose of this DOE report.
That's John Cook.
It's important to pay attention to how this report is already being used by the Trump administration and how this report might get used again.
So this group of scientists finds all sorts of errors in the report. Walk me through some of the specifics that they found.
Yeah, I'll give you an example. The Energy Department report found that carbon dioxide is beneficial for agriculture. It, however, neglects to mention how climate change, driven in large part by increased carbon dioxide from human activity, it means that there's more heat, more extreme weather. All of that can harm crops. There are also misleading statements that say that droughts aren't getting more intense with climate change. That's not true. There are lots of studies showing that global warming does exacerbate droughts.
Yeah. And it's not just the facts in the report, right? The scientists also had big problems with how it got made to begin with.
Yeah, I spoke with Andrew Dessler about this. He's a professor of atmospheric science at Texas A&M University. He coordinated the response to the report. He points out that, for example, the United Nations climate reports, they involve hundreds of scientists. Those reports are peer-reviewed before publication. This report, it involved just 5 people, Scott, and all of them have a history of questioning the scientific consensus that global warming is bad for the world. And those 5 were handpicked by the Secretary of Energy. Here's Dessler.
If you let one person pick a writing team, you could very well end up with a biased writing team. In fact, that's exactly what happened here.
The Department of Energy spokesperson says in an email that, quote, this report was reviewed internally by a group of DOE scientific researchers and policy experts from the Office of Science and National Labs. And, quote, the Trump administration is committed to engaging in a more thoughtful and science-based conversation about climate change and energy.
Okay, but let's zoom out beyond this group of climate scientists who sent this letter. Is it fair to say that other outside observers, neutral observers, are reading this and finding big problems with this report?
That is fair. The American Lung Association said the report is not credible. A group of economists at Yale, Harvard, Georgetown, they also responded to the report saying the findings are, quote, woefully out of date and rely on, quote, an array of fallacies.
How significant is this rebuttal from the scientists?
Dessler says he felt he couldn't stand by and let this report stand without corrections, and other scientists agree. So that's why they came together in about a month to make a more than 400-page report. And John Cook at University of Melbourne says climate misinformation, it can cause people to believe incorrect things, and it can also erode trust in institutions and erode support for doing something about climate change. So that's why these scientists felt they had to do something.
That's NPR's Julia Simon. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Scott.